Hello, my name is Margaret Adele, and please ignore the sounds of a wrestling podcast being recorded in the background. In this house, we have a lot of side hustles. So today I am back with my second ever indie book review of the year because I am in a panic to try to catch up with all of the ones I should have done months ago. So today I am reviewing the novella Lost in the Clouds by R.K. Gold. This is all about an average man that dies of cancer and is kind of stuck in this weird afterlife, trying to pass these 7 trials on his way to whatever is beyond. Now, despite the fact that it's kind of in this ethereal, no real time setting, there's actually a bit of a time crunch because he's sort of floating in this gray cloud, hence the title, but there's these little inky black tendrils snaking through it, and if he cannot detach himself fully from the corporeal world and move on, he will essentially be trapped in limbo for forever. He has a nameless guide who is kind of your general wizened old man type guide with all of these mysterious vague sayings and that laughs a lot. So much laughter. Kind of came across as creepy, not gonna lie. But it's him detaching himself from how he defined himself on Earth and his marriage and family ties and all of that kind of stuff to get through. And in general, this is a book you really have to like the idea of to like. It is very trippy. It is very philosophical. There's a lot of emphasis on what does it mean to detach yourself, and what does it mean, who are you, what is your identity on Earth, and will you carry that identity through, or is it something else entirely, and what is beyond this even limbo, because this limbo isn't exactly the afterlife so much as that is the way to get to the afterlife, so even that isn't necessarily there. And there were certain moments when it got just a little bit too trippy, too philosophical. Like, I can handle, some flashbacks that make sense and some trials in the form of images and conflicts that his mind creates, symbolizing detachments. But there were some moments where it would literally just be pages of the character describing what was happening to him, but it was like all metaphors, a lot of metaphors about ink and bathtubs and rooms, but wasn't literal, so it takes a little bit of effort just to imagine what's going on here, and in some cases, I low-key just stopped trying to imagine what was going on and kind of just accepted it for the gigantic metaphor that it was. And in other moments, I didn't necessarily agree with the ideology, and the argument always is, how do you rate a book when the base ideology is different than yours, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that ideology was portrayed in a bad way, it's just not what you believe. So that's all kind of up in the air, and this book isn't based in any one, religious system. It's not like he's not trying to get to heaven. At certain moments, I think it almost comes across like reincarnation or reincarnation beliefs, at least. A lot of talk about how you have to detach yourself so that energy can return to Earth because it was from Earth when you took it and now you must give it back to move on. So I'm not quite sure if that's supposed to be reincarnation or not. Like I said, this is very trippy, very philosophical. Definitely one of those books you need to chew on, I suppose you could say. It's also very short. The copy I had was about 130 pages. On Goodreads, it says it's 140 some pages. But regardless, it's definitely I think that counts as a novella. I'm never sure what counts as a novella, to be honest. But it's very, very unique in that style. Our protagonist is not very likable, but he is very interesting. And personally, for me, I'd rather have a character that is interesting than likable, because likable can be very generic if it's not done correctly. So Neville is kind of an asshole at times. A lot of the flashbacks that you get aren't him being the best person. And there's not a lot of side characters or a lot of plot in general. There's much more emphasis on descriptions than plot. And the plot there is, again, it's basically just symbolic metaphors for what's going on in his mind. So this is the kind of book where A, you had to like character development of not necessarily totally likable characters. I mean, he became more likable as the story went on. And B, not a lot of plot at all. And also weird descriptions of stuff. Like, some of it was approaching horror type stuff. Things like glowing stones just under his skin and like opening his own skin. There wasn't any blood. And I guess in a certain way it wasn't framed as horror, but like there was another part where he tried to open his mouth and found out that he had no lips. So like there are some moments that get a little creepy at times, so you definitely need to be on the lookout for that if you're going to read this one. But again, it's super short. I've heard some great things about some of the author's other works. However, this was the one that just stood out to me when I was offered a variety to choose from for a review. And again, it's short. So if you like trippy philosophical musings on the afterlife, this is definitely the book for you. I would love to say that this was a book for beginners, but I'm not even sure what a book for beginners in this genre would look like. So be on the lookout for all of the horror type stuff. I don't want to accidentally gross anyone out by suggesting this without that warning. Fortunately, no other real like trigger or content warnings are needed, more or less. It's just be on the lookout for super trippy weird things. In general, I gave this book 4 stars. While it was great, some moments just went a little bit too far to be wholly understood or easily understood. A lot of rereading might be necessary depending on your comfort level with this kind of thing, but definitely one you should check out. Now, if you are an indie author and you are interested in a review like this one, please let me know. I will have my email down in the description below. I will also have my review policy down there. Please give that a read through before sending the email. It answers a lot of questions and saves us a lot of time. And with nothing else to say, I hope you have a wonderful day and a marvelous tomorrow.